Hello, who is online? Is somebody online? Hi. Let me know if you are online. I'm going to give us like 2 minutes or less for people to join in. Welcome to a very interesting conversation. Today I want to talk about conversations that creates prosperity. Specifically, the question of identity, who you are. This is going to be the number 3 episode on this conversations that creates prosperity. And this is the first time I'm going to be doing it live, so I would like your feedback. What is the quality of the audio? It became necessary for me to do this live because sometimes I would record these videos, and in between editing the video and posting them, it takes all the time in the world, and sometimes I end up not doing it. But I said, you know what? Let me do it afraid. Let me take the risk and just go live, So I've been testing a lot of audio equipment, and this one is hands-free. I do not have a mic on me. I just have a webcam, and the webcam has an audio device. So please do well to let me know whenever you watch this video what the audio quality is. Once I'm able to get the one that is excellent, I'll stick to it. So thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and go straight into it. A lot is happening in the world. The United States has a new president. There's a lot of drama. People are being deported. Some people feel marginalized and all that. And in a time like this, what exactly is the way forward? I made up my mind this year that I'm going to continue to have conversations that create prosperity because of what I experienced last year, which I shared in the last episode, but I'm just going to go through like a summarized version of it. So, first things first, please let me know, where are you tuning in from? And what time is it? Right now it's almost 11 p.m. Central Time in the United States. So I'll start by saying good night, good evening to those in the United States and the parts of the world where it's dark. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're tuning in from. The question of who are you, as simple as it is, can actually be one of the most complex questions to answer. It's interesting how the answer to that question continues to change depending on the stage of life you are, right? So I'm going to simplify that question with an experience that I have personally. So what does identity, who you are, have to do with creating prosperity? I'm tempted to say everything, like 100%, because who you are is greater than the wealth or the prosperity that you create. That is just the simple equation. You cannot earn, prosper, create more than who you are. For those of us that are religious or spiritual, that believe that there is a God, or you call it the universe. I don't call it universe anyway, but everyone's opinion should be respected. Now, we believe that there is a higher force, a bigger force. In my own case, I believe that there is a God, and that God is bigger than the creation, the creature. Whatever it is bigger than what the God created. So the same applies to every human being. You cannot be more than who you are. You cannot earn more than who you are. And the good news is you can actually discover and evolve. In this case, I believe in evolution. I know it doesn't sound religious. Hey, you are a Christian and you believe in evolution. Please, before you misquote me, I'm talking about the evolution that happens when you're discovering who you are, when you are becoming or coming into the fullness of who you are. More like the evolution that happens when you transition from a child to an adult, to a mature person, to a man, to a woman, to someone that can take care of themselves, to someone that can also take care of other people. Yeah, there is a level of growth that happens there. It is amazing how we can actually improve on who we are, right? So I think at this point I have some people on. Thank you so much. I can see someone is on YouTube watching, someone is on Facebook watching. So I will quickly go to the article. So to make these our conversations more on topic and not all over the place, I take my time to write down like an article. You could just go to my website, auspicious.com, and you can follow along. Alright, so let me quickly go there. So when you are asked, who are you? What is the default answer that comes to mind when someone asks you, who are you? I think the most common response to that question is what you do. Doctor, philanthropist, musician, trader. And while I don't see anything wrong with that, I think that's a perfect response. I think what you do does not give a complete description of who you are. And because of that, we need to, just have a conversation about it. Let me know in the comments. Do you agree with me that what you do is not a complete description of who you are? And please, feel free to school me. This is a conversation. Do you understand? I'm not talking to everybody. I'm talking to you, and I want to listen to you and also learn from you. Thank you so much for being here anyway. Alright, so I've located the topic. It's funny, I named it gender dysphoria, identity and purpose. One of the discussion in our time is gender identity, which is linked to your personal preferences, sexuality, as they call it, and so on and so forth. I empathize with people that experience gender dysphoria because I experienced it. So I'm going to talk about it briefly. I'm just going to follow the outline. So let's start with while there is nothing wrong, let me read what I wrote here. While there is nothing wrong with describing yourself based on what you do, I had cause to think otherwise when I started questioning everything in my search to find the truth. I was just interested in finding the truth, and suddenly I questioned everything. So now, these were the distractions that prevented me from making progress at first. Number one, the desire to get the latest title and become affiliated with a particular association. Can you relate? Depending on what you do. So for me, I've done music for most of my life, and there are all these titles that come with becoming a musician. It could be an instrumentalist, it could be an artist, it could be a songwriter, or all the awards. We have all these awards. You want to win awards in your field, or you want to get a certification in your field, or you want to be affiliated with a particular association. If you are in the music business, you'd want to win one of the most prestigious award would be a Grammy award, right? So that desire to achieve all these things distracted me. So I was focused on advancing the thing that I do, which I found, or I associated my identity, who I am, to. Felt like because I sing, I'm a singer, that's who I am. Who are you? I'm a singer. You see? So, but now I know better. But that was a distraction. The second distraction was what I was good at, how I felt, and what others called me. Listen, let's unpack it. What I was good at. Now, the desire to be associated with what I was good at did something to me. It did me dirty, and I'm going to share it. It made me unwilling to try the things I was scared. Let me put it this way. It made me unwilling to try the things I wasn't good at. But how will I know that I'm not good at it when I've not even tried? Just because I didn't want to be found wanting. So I stuck to the things I was already good at. Secondly, how I felt. So I did certain things because I felt like doing them. I disregarded some other things because I did not feel like doing them. So I felt like I have to stick with the things that I feel like doing because that is who I am. That was a distraction. Then finally, on this number 2, what others called me. You know how getting validation from people can be a huge distraction. Oh my God. I am the number 1 victim. So when people talk to me, oh, I see you doing this. Oh, you're going to be able to do this. Oh, you remind me of this person. I was feeding off that validation like, oh my God, this is who I am. Because it sounded nice to me. But eventually, I discovered that people would describe you based on what they know, based on their experience. And as long as nobody knows you as much as you think, that would fall short of exactly who you are. So relying on that validation was a distraction for me. Now, number 3, the sum of all my roles and accomplishments. I thought I had made progress when I saw all the things I can do together to be able to form, like there is this thing they called stacking of skills. When you have one skill, you could describe yourself as one thing, but then when you stack more than one skill, you could describe yourself as more than one thing, maybe 2 things, or sometimes you can describe yourself as a compound thing. Let me give you an instance. If you are a singer, let me use myself as an example. You can sing, you describe yourself as a singer. Now, when you learn how to play the piano like I do, you could say, I'm a singer and a pianist. Or if you want to maybe find a compound or a profession that joins the two together, you could say, I'm a songwriter, because a songwriter needs to learn an instrument or know how to play an instrument and as well sing. Or you can say singer-songwriter. You've seen that, right? Singer-songwriter. So the sum total of my skills, as I was stacking up skills, I described myself as multiple things or a compound thing. Then my accomplishments. Oh God. Accomplishments, past glory. I was this, I did this. So these were like weights dragging me back. I wanted to make progress. I wanted to discover the truth, but they were dragging me back. So I don't know if you can relate to this. So moving on. What stopped me from being distracted was this question. What is the difference between identity and activity? Did you get that? Let me repeat it because I think it's what, marinating. What is the difference between identity and activity? Think about it. Now, when I thought about it, I was intentionally, number one, right? My thought led me to this. I was intentionally designed and created for one purpose, by God, my spiritual father. Now, I know everyone cannot relate to this. I hope you do. And if you share a different view, please let me know. I believe that I have a creator, and that creator lives in a different dimension. This is a spiritual term. So I am really, really interested in science, physics, and spiritual stuff. So I was watching a video on YouTube about dimensions. We human beings, we are at least three-dimensional. So we are able to create two-dimensional stuff. And we're able to see two-dimensional stuff. So if we have another being that created us, that being has to have more dimensions than we have. It's pretty simple. It's not that spooky. So, and that dimension, we call it spiritual. Now, if this person created me as you are mine, what is the closest association you have to the people that gave birth to you? You call them parents, father, mother, right? Okay, cool. So I believe that I was created intentionally by a spiritual father who is God. Number 2, I can actually go to this my father and find out his plan for me. This was just my thoughts, okay? Does that make sense? All right, now what difference does this information make? I think it changed everything, starting with the state of my mind, the chaos in my mind. You know, there are lots of questions that we have in our mind. Some of them we just bury it deep down, but when we hear people talk about it, we can relate. There are lots of questions. If there is a God, why do we have evil in the world? Why are bad people going scot-free? Why are wicked people living lucky? There are lots of questions, right? So it can be chaotic. It can be chaotic, especially if you take the time to listen. When you're distracted and you're busy and you're just going with the flow and living a routine life, you might just be on the clock. Wake up, do this, eat, sleep, work, come back, repeat the process. But when you start to, declutter your mind and put the distraction away, you are going to face the real confusion in your mind. And like I did, I addressed it and I was able to sort, tidy up my mind. And I'm going to, attempt to explain the process. Probably these steps could help you. So, the chaos in my mind that felt like a raging storm stopped. And the noises faded away. And I became strong enough to collect my thoughts, more like tidying up my house. And that was when I found peace. Ironic, given that peace is my name. But for years, it was elusive to me. Peace was far-fetched. Alright, so, well, you know what? What is the foundation to discovering your true identity? Just like I like to talk about, if you had listened to my previous episodes, truth is the anchor. So the essence of having conversations that help you to prosper is, what is the foundation? The anchor is truth. So truth is the foundation of self-discovery. And let me also re-emphasize, truth is not words, it's not mere words. It's not something you say. Truth is an experience. It starts from knowledge, which is another person's experience that was written down for you, and then you apply it. That's wisdom. The result you get, that is truth. So the foundation of self-discovery, it starts with the knowledge that you get. So for me, the knowledge that helped me begin to discover my true identity was something I heard on a podcast. This thing was spoken by someone I know and I've watched drastically elevate their life. So I was very curious. And this person said these words: they should ask God to tell them who they are. And I couldn't shake it off. They should ask God to tell them who they are. So I said, okay, let me see. How do I ask God? How do I hear from God? I know that the default answer is prayer, but I had prayed before. I did not hear anything. So how do I ask God and hear from God? So I started with, okay, what do I even believe? So I believe three things. Number one, I believe in God. Number two, I believe that God created me. And number three, I believe that you can connect with God. You know what? How do I even connect with God? Let me not settle with prayer. Let me ask, how do I connect with God? So what I did was I went to search the Bible to see what Jesus had to say about how to connect with God. So the first verse of the Bible that helped me was Revelation 3:20. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hears my voice and open the door, I will come to him and will sup with him and he with me. So I said, okay, I am willing to let God in, but I did not hear any voice because the scripture said a voice is speaking. I did not hear any voice. So I said, you know what, let me continue searching. So I continued. The next thing I saw was John 15 verse 7 says, if you abide in me and my words abide in you, you will ask what you desire and it shall be done for you. I said, yes, please, I desire something. I want to know, why was I created? Who am I? All right. But then what stood out for me was, if you abide in me and my words abide in you. So I'm like, why is Jesus comparing himself with his word here? You know what? Let me focus on the words of Jesus in that case and discover more. So I went ahead. You know what? I said, let me even start reading this Bible from the beginning. And I did not rush the Bible. I started reading the Bible with a curious mind, slower than I have ever read it before. And it felt like I was reading an entirely new book. I was born into a Christian home. So for all my life, except the time I decided on my own to stop going to church for like 11 months, I had listened to Bible studies, preachers. I had even read. I had probably even taught a number of times, that more times that I can remember. So what exactly is responsible for how this book is sounding? It sounded like something I've not read before. Wow. So you know what I did? After reading, I started with one chapter a day. And sometimes, some days I miss, but most days. After reading the Bible, I will take time to reflect on what I have read, as if I'm listening for an interpretation. So what I did was, I would do it early in the morning before everybody wakes up. I'll wake up, that's the first thing I would do. So then I'll be listening, like, okay, so what does this mean? Then it was slow, but it started happening. I began to get feedback. It was really faint at first. How was I getting feedback? My thoughts, because I was just thinking, it's personal reflection. But my thoughts, as I'm thinking, something would jump out at me. I could hear my thoughts interpreting the Bible in a way that applies to my current circumstance. I'm reading something that was written thousands of years ago, and it applies to my current circumstance just because I, did like some reflection afterwards. And this was really exciting for me. So I studied further. I started taking notes, because the thoughts were becoming more consistent. I said, you know what? I don't want to dismiss this as a random thought. So I would open my notes on my phone and I would type down the things that are occurring to me. After a while, it became clearer to me. I realized I was being taught by the Holy Spirit. I must have heard it before that the Bible was inspired by the Holy Spirit, and He's the only one that can teach you the Bible to understand the way it applies to you personally. And so what that means is your pastor, your preacher, your favorite podcaster, your favorite social media influencer could study the Bible for themselves, and then when they pass that message, it might not apply to you. The revelation is for them. It means you need to figure it out on your own, and the only person that will teach you is the person that understands you better than any other person. So that's what I figured out. Anyway, this scripture confirms this my thoughts. John 16:13. But when He, the Spirit of truth, comes, He will guide you into all truth. He will not speak on His own. He will speak only what He hears, and He will tell you what is yet to come. He will tell you what is yet to come. Let me tell you, my brothers and sisters, I am a living witness. All right, so when I started, something will occur to me in my thoughts. Sometimes I'll write it down, sometimes I'll not write it down, but I'll remember. After a while, that thing would happen. It happened the first time, it happened the second time, I'm like, what? This is not a coincidence. So there is actually a spiritual frequency that you can intercept when you are, when you get rid of the distraction. Listen, we are distracted. The distraction is too much. You see, we have all we need, but we cannot even focus to access and harness the things that we need. The opportunities we have in the world right now, they are boundless. And I'm not saying this as a speculation. I'm saying this because I am in the business of helping people explore opportunities that is tailored to them. That is my work right now. That is what I'm doing. So I'm not just giving a motivational talk. No, I can actually, I don't know who would need that service that I can help out. But whether I help you out one-on-one or not, I'm going to be sharing quality gems on this channel, and you can rest assured that you cannot listen to this kind of conversations that we are having without creating prosperity. It's impossible. The resources we need to become prosperous is too much. It has never been like this in the history of the world. And I know that there are lots of ideas such as, the money, when some people hoard money, then it will not reach some people. No, money is not actually the real value. Money is just like a receipt. Money is receipts. The real value is not money. And that value that we have on earth is enough to make everybody prosperous, and there will still be enough left. And thankfully, we are in the age where a lot of things that were hidden, a lot of things that were protected, that were not, that people did not have access to, is now available and accessible. The issue is information, knowledge. But no, it doesn't have to be that way. We must create prosperity starting this year. Anyway, I was distracted a little bit. Let me come back on the topic. All right, so the awareness that something is happening, I am actually getting information that I didn't put in my head. I'm actually getting predictions. I'm actually getting, I am more perceptive. In fact, let me not try to be too neutral. I'm a Christian. I believe in the teachings of Jesus Christ. I am actually receiving insights from the Holy Spirit directly. When I felt that conviction, I became emboldened. I said, okay, in that case, let me ask the question, God, who did you create me to be? So after I asked that question, I listened. I was attentive to finding clues. After I asked that question, guess what? I began to notice the following. Number one, relevant content began appearing on my social media feed, offering insights I needed. Excuse me, please. Let me. My handkerchief is not closed. Feeling. Right. Let me clean my nose. Sorry. All right. Immediately after I asked that question, number one, I began to see relevant content popping up on my social media feed, giving me clues, giving me direction on how to, answer the question I'm asking. Number two, I started dreaming at night. This is something that rarely happens to me before. You will not believe this, but I am not one of those people that used to go to sleep and to dream. But then suddenly I started dreaming, and I wake up and actually remember the dream, and the message will be very, very clear. Wow. And then number three, I resumed daily introspection. So there's something I used to do, especially when I was in my 20s, when I was on my own, living alone, working. When I come back in the evening, I would go through I'll just think about everything that happened from the morning to the evening, and then I'll figure out, there are some words I said I shouldn't have said. More like an introspection. You get it right. No need to explain everything I did. So I felt like, I'm a mom now. I have a child to take care of. I have this, I have that. I'm too busy. I'm tired. I'll sleep. So I don't do it anymore. But for some reason, I just realized I can actually do it. I can actually find time to do it. And taking away distraction, most of the things that distracted me actually freed up space, so I had time to do the things I was actually doing. I'm getting feedback that the quality of this stream is not great, so please let me know if the quality is not great. Please let me know if the audio is bad. Let me know if the network is bad. Okay, I'm going to fix all that. Anyway, let's continue. So when I became more intentional about thinking things through, then I heard my thoughts loud and clear with information that was completely new to me. Things I did not like, new information. I think I would encourage you to try that. Just anything that you believe is a distraction. Give yourself 1 week, 1 month, just put them aside and stay by yourself, reflect, pray, study the Bible, listen, or study any book that you are more likely to, the book that resonates with wherever you are in your journey. For me right now, I've gone back to the Bible, so I'll keep talking about the Bible a lot. Alright, so before I round up this session with how I discovered exactly who I am and the things I'm doing right now, let me touch on my struggle with gender dysphoria. So, for the longest time, as a preteen and almost throughout my teenage years, I struggled with gender dysphoria. As a young girl, I wished I were a boy. I empathize deeply with anyone experiencing such confusion because I remember how it felt to be at odds with my nature. I even made bold declarations like, I would neither marry nor have children. Yet, wait for it, marriage and motherhood became instrumental in helping me discover who I am. These two institutions, marriage and motherhood, which I categorically thought I was not going to be part of, taught me lessons about life, about business, about spirituality. You can't make this up. I know that we may grow up in places where we were not treated right. We may experience, you could be going through a lot at the family front, community, even church. But when it comes to, you see, marriage, you see, parenting, if you're a parent or if you desire to be a parent, it will show you that you have an opportunity to right a wrong. You say, I was treated poorly, but my child, I'm not going to allow my child to go through the same thing I went through. And when you are taking care of your child and giving your child your all, even more than you thought you have, it teaches you something. Okay, if there is a God that created humans, if there is a God that created me, how compassionate would that God be? Something flips. Forget about how your dad or how your mom treated you. If they treated you perfectly, thank you. That is a clear example of, okay, that means there is a God that can do as much as my parents did or better. But when you are the one that is responsible now as a parent, or you are in a marriage, or you are not in a marriage, I have the utmost respect for single parents and widowed parents, because you're doing it alone. What can be tougher than that? And what can also be as rewarding as that? Like, there is this duality to life. The same thing that brings you the greatest pain, if you flip it, it can still be the same thing that will bring you the greatest joy. If not, explain to me why I would go through labor and have a baby, and after a few months, I'm interested in having another. Because it's tough, but the reward is boundless. So, I think what helped me, in part, to overcome my gender dysphoria was because it was not entertained. I did not have the room to explore it, to talk about it, to have laws and legal rights to support me. And so that seems cruel, right? But that was my saving grace as well. So, as a child, as an egg, as a seed, your full potential has not materialized yet. So if as a child, if as a teenager, as I was a teenager, I am saying, oh, I wish I were a boy, what do I know about myself? I've not even developed. I don't even know that. Why do I have that thought? What do I think a boy would get that I wouldn't get? Do I know that I could even get more than what I wished for? Actually, I am experiencing more than I wished for. So I just want to encourage somebody to hang in there, because who you are is a discovery. It's not something you figure out immediately. And that's why the answer that we give keeps changing according to our journey in life. But at some point, it becomes clearer. So hang in there, be patient, and I'm rooting for you. If I came out strong, if I came out better, if I'm grateful that I didn't change my gender, or I didn't prevent myself from getting married or having a child, and a lot of things led up to that, which probably we'll cover in these our conversations. Or if you guys are interested, I'll let you know. I want to let you know that you deserve even better, and you can experience even much more than you imagine if you're going through gender dysphoria. And please, if you're not going through gender dysphoria, be kind to those that are going through them. Alright, I needed to touch on that briefly. So let me talk about discovering my purpose. As I went through all this experience, I understood that who I am, if it is not based on what I do alone, then it has to be based on my being, not on my activity, but on my identity. And my first identity is the fact that I am a female human or a female man. because man is actually neutral. I realized something about human beings. I think we all have masculine and feminine attributes, but the one that the percentage is higher is the one that corresponds to our identity, our natural identity. Like, I'm a female now. I remember when I had low cuts, I would dress in baggy, I would walk like a boy, I could have easily passed as a transgender man, right? So we have those attributes. But I think I look better as a woman. I think I am perfect as a woman because that's just nature. Now, since birth, my body has held the potential to create life. That's the thing about a female body. The potential to nurture, to grow something that another human being gives you, another kind of human being, a male, and then you nurture it and then help in co-creating life. Even at birth, a little child that was born today, 1 day old, few hours old, a little girl has all the eggs they would need for life. That's potential, so precious. Now, realizing this amazing fact about me made the thought of becoming a mom grow inside me. Exactly. When I decided to be a mom, which made me contemplate marriage, I was discovering things about myself. Now, embracing my natural identity as a female helped me find fulfillment in the various stages of my life, from being a daughter to being a wife and now a mother. So each new stage uncovered a new understanding of who I was created to be. There are some things you would never know until you experience it. I was watching a funny show. So it's like a versus, like a what's the name of that show? So that show, we have people that claimed to be mothers, but just one person is a mom. So they were the organizers of the show, the judges were asking questions pertaining to childbirth, pertaining to pregnancy. Nothing would have made me answer those questions correctly if I did not have a child. And I could tell that they chose their questions correctly because most of the girls that were not mothers fumbled. You see, it's funny how these experiences will reveal so much to you. First of all, reveal what your body is capable of, the resilience. I know we talk about the pain of labor so much. Oh my God, the pain of labor. But have you ever considered the fact that the body of a woman was designed to contain that experience, that discomfort? We have the capacity. Like, we know it's not fun, but we know we can go through with it. Like, you know what? I don't want to talk about labor right now. But the point is, the experiences at each stage of life unlocked a new level of clarity that ultimately helps me to understand who I am generally. But now the things that I'm going to be doing would come from who I am. And it doesn't have to be one thing. At different stages of your life, your activity will change, but who you are does not change. It just develops, right? It's funny how God is described as the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. Like, God sees the tree in the seed. We're going to be talking a lot about potential, seed, tree, prosperity, because we are all about having deep roots. Like, I don't want to have money and be sick. I want peace. I don't want to have money and I cannot sleep at night. Do you understand? It has to flow. Prosperity. It needs to have deep roots. It needs to be fully rooted. It needs to follow the right course. No process is cut short. No shortcut that would end up complicating things in the future. You know, let me use this opportunity to talk about principles. I was saying, what is the difference between miracles and magic? Because they seem pretty similar to me. And then I realized something. God did not create this world based on a miracle. God, according to the accounts of Bible, the biblical accounts which I'm most familiar with, created this world based on principles. There are spiritual principles, there are physical principles. So why then does he allow for miracles? I understand that there are other entities that also participate in what is going on in the world, including humans. This will that we have, I have my will, I want to do what I want, can make us truncate a process. It can make us truncate the cycles of life, because it's a cycle, it's a system. So when that thing happens, what's go on? It will alter the norm. It will alter the balance of life. So what I believe miracle does is restoration. So miracle restores back to normal. And that's why there's some things that I see fellow Christians expect to happen as miracles that are simply not, it doesn't make sense unless you're looking for magic, which I believe that magic is also a way of truncating the natural process. I believe that miracle is restoration, magic is truncating the process, because magic is based on what I want. This is my desire, give me my desire. But miracle is based on something is wrong, let it be fixed. Because if you say give me what I want, instead of asking what is the right thing, because if you figure out the right thing, you will not truncate the process. It is in truncating that process that we alter the system of life, the system of nature, and things go bad. Someone said, this earth we have, human beings were made to manage the earth, and the way the earth is a reflection of the managers, not the manufacturer. And I think that was a valid point. Do you agree? My life is taking too long, so I need to wrap up quickly. So I'm on discovering my purpose. So through this process, I understood that my being is defined by two core aspects. Number one, physical being and spiritual being. Science taught us that man is a spiritual being, which I believe can resonate, because when a man dies, you can still see all this physical mass, but it's the spirit of man that ceases to exist in the body. So man is a physical and a spiritual being. And at the physical level, I'm a woman. At the spiritual level, I am made in the image of God, according to what the Bible says, which is the account of creation that I am getting my reference from. So let's look at that too. We've talked about the physical form. Let's go to the spiritual form. If I am a spiritual being created in God's image, what it means is please give me a moment to go through what I wrote so that I can just summarize it, because this life has stretched on for too long. Let me know if you like the background jazz piano music. Alright. So I realized that who I am as a spiritual being pours into who I am as a physical being. And at the spiritual level, what you can hold on to say, okay, this is my spiritual affiliation, is your belief, which is more like religion. But beyond religion, just your belief, the things you believe. if you listen to the first podcast I made about the source of prosperity, you will hear the things I said about the duality of life. Everything that has the capacity to create prosperity, like a seed, has a duality. It has a physical and a spiritual being. And when a seed dies, like they will say when you plant it, it means it has changed form, which is backed up by science, that energy is neither created nor destroyed. That's like the second law of energy. But it is converted from one form to another, just like when you boil water and the vapor leaves, it's divides into the two gases that came together to form the liquid, and then they evaporate. So for humans, it's your belief. Your belief is intangible, but your belief is like the software that makes you. And guess what? Your belief affects what you do. So if you update your belief or update your software, what you do will change. And when the things you do stack up, your value improves, your value increases. And that's why we shouldn't be tied down to one thing. For example, I want to be a singer. While that is amazing, at some point, when you add another skill like how to play the piano, it unlocks more value, such as you can become a songwriter, you can become a music teacher, you can become a music director, something that just one additional skill helped you unlock, and that has more value. If you add another skill like music production, like I said, you can become a music producer, you can become a beat maker, you can even add a business skill and have a record label, sign artists, or manage yourself in the business of performance and recording. If you add a few skills like programming, I'm actually talking about myself here. So I picked up programming. I had dabbled into programming because I worked with IT people. If you add programming to, imagine, what has singing got to do with programming? Exactly. What you do is not who you are. So you don't allow yourself to be held down by what you do and try to make your identity to revolve around that. No, because when you improve your what you believe, and then it makes you stack up new skills. Your value, the value you bring into the market, which is the real wealth. The value you bring into the world, the value you give to people when you have conversations with them because you have the ability to solve their problem based on your skills, the value you bring to your boss in the office, the value you bring into the marketplace as an entrepreneur like me increases. So when there is a skill that is in demand, or as the world is improving, technology is improving, and there are new skills, and because your mind is updating, the software of your mind is updating, what do? You pick up the one that is up your alley and you learn it. When you learn programming, what does that do? Suddenly you're able to create, you can work and earn more money as a programmer or an IT related business, but it could even help you create solutions for people in the field that you are most accustomed to. Have you ever wondered the people that create all this music software that we use for production? In fact, let's leave music software alone. Have you ever wondered the people that created things like Patreon that helps artists and other creators make money from fans? The person that created Patreon is a musician, plays with a band. Among others, I even found out that the co-founder of Google. In fact, a lot of business people are musicians. The co-founder of Google, a lot of business people are musicians. But that is not their identity today. So because they have proven that they are not what they do, ability to play an instrument becomes a skill that's associated with them, not their identity. So that's how it flows from the spiritual to the physical. So back to me. When I discovered who I was, for me, I believe that I'm a child of God. And at this point, I'm no longer a child. I'm more like a grown. I'm grown. Like I know stuff, right? I'm no longer give me. I'm more like, okay, mommy, daddy, what should I do? Mommy, I can do this. Okay, mommy, don't worry, I got this. Okay, mommy, you know what? Can I help my sibling? I have money saved up. Can I send money back home? That, for me, is the stage I think I'm at now. So what did I do? I said, okay, if my father, my spiritual father is God, what is my father's business? Like you will see Jesus mention a lot, father's business. What is my father's business? And what, based on the things that I can do, where does it fit into my father's business? Remember the skills, because if you don't stack up skills, that means you're not growing. The ability to stack up all these skills shows that you are having a spiritual experience that is materializing in the physical. Because come to think of it, how can you learn how to play an instrument, become better in music, and then your child that you give birth to will have that character in their DNA? If it is not spiritual, please tell me what is. It means that when you are mastering something, when you master something, it is recorded. That information is carried in your blood and it passes to your offspring. So it is very, very spiritual. Spiritual is not as spooky as we think. Spiritual is not as far-fetched as we think. Hey, I'm going to talk about spirituality a lot because it is simple. I figured it out. And I cannot keep it to myself. I want to talk about it. I want to listen to you. I want to learn more. That's the fun. Anyway, for me, at this point, based on the skills I've gathered together, a truth that helped me, because truth will always be a compass, which was basically the response I got was, you see that dream that you have, that dream that you've always had was like a map. It was leading you. It helped you to gain all this experience. Maybe one day I'm going to talk about the dream I had. It helped you to build yourself up. Right now, where you are, that dream, there are lots of people that have it. Help them to achieve it. Let me tell you something. Sometimes the things that we dream about, when we are close to it, like we have arrived, it doesn't feel as good as we thought. Because of one or two things. Maybe one, we have another dream. At this point where we are, we have a higher dream. So this one that is now close, that's within our reach, now pales in comparison. It is no longer exciting. Or two, you realize that your dream actually cannot fulfill. That is not the source of fulfillment. Can I be honest with you? One of the most fulfilling things in life is to forget about yourself and help someone. Help your child. Have you ever heard how people say, my child helped me to come out of depression? My child is my savior. Do you know how difficult it is to care for a child? Yet, it is one of the most fulfilling things on earth to care for the child, see the child grow, see the child respond accordingly. Anyway, the answer that I got was in more than one scripture, but let me stick to this one for today because it touches on today's subject. The answer I got was, love your neighbor as yourself. And when I thought about it, I got this interpretation. The dream you had, make it happen for someone else. You know that love your neighbor as yourself is not the same thing as love yourself as your neighbor, right? Do you know how less depressed we would be if we actually loved other people? I know that there are a lot of lessons on love yourself, choose yourself, love yourself, choose yourself. Still, it would, like we were created incomplete for a reason. The gods, the spirit beings, they don't have gender. We have two different genders that are complementary for a reason. You can never fulfill yourself. It's impossible. So you see that golden principle, golden rule. Love your neighbor as yourself. That's that is how you prosper. Anyway, let me talk about myself. I was at a point in my life where I was fragmented in my mind. I was conflicted as to what to do. I had too many options. I had stacked up all these skills. I had too many options. Should I do this, or should I do that, or should I do this? You know what? I was now jealous of the person in the Bible that had one talent. I said, you don't know what God did for you. You just have one talent. You don't even need to consider. Just focus on the talent, and you went to bury it. Don't you know that person that has 10 talents has a lot of options to choose from, and that can be discouraging. And then I had my dear friend on Facebook post that God did not intend for us to be stressed out about the things that we want to do. Not because the things that we're going to do will not be stressful, but let me put it this way. Have you ever felt this surge of energy and enthusiasm and excitement about doing something, that you did something that was really, really difficult, but you didn't feel it because you wanted to, just like Jacob in the Bible that worked for 7 extra years for the woman he loved? He was excited, he was motivated. But have you ever been in a situation whereby even the simple things, you're too tired to do it? So it is not about how difficult it is. It's about, do you have the drive? Do you have the energy? Do you have the desire? So I was conflicted. I had a lot. So I want to focus on one. And then it clicked. What I am currently doing now, which is creative entrepreneurship, relies on all the skills I have ever learned in my life, all the experience I have ever gained, and a little bit more inspiration from the Holy Spirit, because I'm still learning a lot of skills, but I don't feel stressed about it because I have the desire. And the work that I'm doing is not even as hard as any of the work individually. Let me explain something to you. If I am using 10 skills to do the job I'm doing today as a creative entrepreneur, the work I'm doing is not as difficult as just one of them a piece. How can you explain that? Okay. What I do is mostly strategy. What I do is mostly mental work, predictive work. Like I give definite predictions and strategy, which all this experience, what did it help me do? It helped to develop my perception. So the things I will see, for example, when you start playing music, I can hear all the notes. I can hear the things that if you've not trained your ear to that point, you can't hear it. I can just go to the piano and play it. I don't even need to score it. I can hear it on stage and play it. Right? So imagine stacking up all these skills and mastering them, and then you have to do something that it's easy for me because I have mastered the skills. It's easier than doing just one hard job because what I'm doing is brain work. But I suddenly, I'm like, okay, they were like 10 things before, but now it's like one thing. I would not have been able to get to this point if I was thinking about myself. What led me to this point was conversations. I was having conversations with people, just normal conversations with people, and the solutions I was suggesting were spot on. And it was like almost everybody I was speaking with had a similar problem. I'm like, can you imagine why are these people seeing this as a problem? It's not a problem, but this is the solution, but it's not obvious to them. Like, oh, it's obvious to me. It's easy for me. But guess what? Something that might be tough for me as well might be easy for another person. That's the beauty of how God created this world, so that we can complement each other. So right now, I'm a creative entrepreneur, and some of the things I thought were like my lifelong dreams suddenly became a project under the umbrella of creative entrepreneurship. I don't know if I'm going to be a creative entrepreneur forever, because what I do is not who I am. But I know one thing for sure: I would never disconnect from the source. I would always remember who I am and where I'm from, and my father's business, which is the bigger picture. Whatever my father is doing, I want to be part of it. And that, my friend, is how I found peace. And I don't know if this is useful to someone. I hope it would be, because my when I think about it, I am led to share. And the thing about being who you are is you do the things that you are supposed to do. And when you don't do it, you know you're supposed to do it. Like, you will just feel that misalignment, like, go and do it. And the weight, the distraction, the things that held you down, that made you incapable, because sometimes you're willing but you're not capable, one by one they will begin to die off because they no longer have roots. And once again, as I round up, I know that conversations like this is not really about what I'm saying, but what you are remembering. So I'm just having a conversation, I'm just talking, but it's a mental and a spiritual exchange going on. I just want you to remember who you are, or at least find your way to discovering who you are. I think it is okay if you forget everything I say or everything I've said in this conversation, as long as you remember that you are more than what you do, and you can update your software and find the peace that comes with figuring out exactly who you are. Thank you so much for hanging with me. I'm so happy I went live. Oh my god, so I don't have to edit. But I hope the video will be good though. And whatever I need to improve on, I will be in the comment section to listen to your constructive criticisms, and I'll also watch it myself and point out the places I need to improve. I was so scared of doing this because I'm not proud of my speaking, but I said, let me not be like Moses. Let me just start. Let me just trust this leading and start. So I would appreciate all your advice on how I can make this conversation better. And if you want to jump on a live with me so that we can chat together, maybe on Zoom or maybe on this social media live, please feel free to send me a DM. Okay, God bless you all and have a lovely week ahead. I'll be back as soon as I can. I can't make any promises, every week, every day, no. But I promise you, I'm going to be here as often as I can.